What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the ELI5 podcast. I'm going to be posting these, I think, on YouTube, and then maybe try to do it on Apple Podcasts or some other sources other than just YouTube. But then I'll try to clip them down to do shorter videos on Twitter, like I did with the first one. Again, that first episode, if you missed it, was talking about the 70% failed transactions on Solana. There was like a chart going around showing 70% of Solana transactions are failing. And so I'm just trying to explain why that is and sort of dispel a lot of the misunderstanding of that. So in this episode, we're going to be talking about priority fees. Again, super high level, ELI5. I'm trying to provide an analogy that like my mom could comprehend with like knowing nothing else about things, right? And so I just want to sort of explain, I guess I'm going to touch on isolated fee markets a little bit, priority fees, and then at a very, very high level, my understanding, which I guess could be wrong, but my understanding of sort of what the current problem is and what will start to be fixed in V1.18. So just for a little bit of background there, the current validators on Solana are running version 1.17.27. Version 1.18 is projected to go live mid-April. Quick shill, Hedgehog Markets, we have a prediction market. Actually, if you want to speculate on if it will go live by April 15th at, I believe, 4:20 p.m. UTC on hedgehog.markets, so if you want to check that out. But anyways, that is the projected timeline, starting with V1.18. Prediction markets, priority fees, and some other things will start to get addressed, which will obviously help improve the UI, help land certain transactions potentially, and yeah. So let's try to keep this high level. Don't want to get too far down into the weeds here. Just want to help people understand sort of what's going on. So let's rewind back to Solana 2021 NFT mania, right? So what happened was, there were no isolated fee markets, there weren't priority fees, and so what would happen is there would be a hype mint, and everybody was spamming transactions, right? They were trying to mint that NFT project. So what happens there is the rest of the chain gets bogged down because of that one NFT mint. So introducing isolated fee markets helps to sort of fix that problem. So let's jump into an analogy. Let's say you go to your favorite brewery, right? And there's one register at the center of the bar. But there's 10 different beers on tap, there's 10 different bartenders, but there's one register to check out. It's great. If I walk in, there's no line. I just walk up to the front, order my beer, pay for it, go sit down. Good to go, right? Nice and quick, very easy transaction. Now let's say they're doing a special promotion, right? They want to promote this new IPA that they have out. So one of those 10 beers on tap is that IPA. So there's a ton of people that are there that day, and they all want that IPA. But me, I'm more of a lager guy. So, I don't really care about that IPA special. It doesn't matter to me. But I still have to wait in that really long line behind all of these IPA people because there's only that one register. So the idea of isolated fee markets is that there could be 10 registers for each of those beer taps. And now there could be a line for the IPA people and then a line for lager. So there might be a line for the IPAs, but if I want my lager, I can just go order it, be done, and not have to deal with it. So that's just like a really high level analogy as to what isolated fee markets helped resolve. When there's a really hyped NFT mint or an IPA special, me buying my lager or doing something else on Solana doesn't get bogged down or have to pay priority fees or anything like that, right? I can just go up, order my lager, and be done with it. So now priority fees. So let's kind of hone in on that IPA line. If there's a really long IPA line and say my wife wants that IPA and I don't want to wait in that line because I'd rather sit down and talk to her, I can basically pay a fee to skip the line, right? So it gets me into that next point of sale or purchase or next transaction on the chain, and I'm able to buy my beer faster by paying a priority fee and jumping to the front, right? So that's at a very high level and a simple way of explaining a priority fee. Now, what's happening right now in the current problem is that if I wanted to pay a $1 priority fee, great. If there's nobody else paying a priority fee, I get ahead of the line, I get my beer. But what's happening is the guy next to me might say, well, I'm willing to pay a $10 priority fee. But that higher priority fee isn't guaranteeing that his transaction will get through before my transaction. So based on my understanding of what's going on, there's kind of like two tranches or two buckets that's happening right now, right? One bucket is people that aren't paying a priority fee, and then the other bucket is people that are paying a priority fee. And I don't know if there's a certain cap here or not, but basically there's no order to these priority fees. So even if you jack up your priority fee to like 10 SOL on chain, or in this case, $10 for this guy that wants to get in front of me, it's not helping you get a higher priority by paying a higher priority fee, right? So it's not prioritizing the priority fees. And that will hopefully be solved, I think, later on. The idea is to be able to actually like schedule them and prioritize them based on the size of the priority fee, right? So that would make sense, but that's not happening right now. So that's an inherent problem with those priority fees. The other layer of things is that if you don't do a priority fee at all, there's a good chance that your transaction will get dropped, right? So if your transaction gets dropped, it's not even making it to the chain. Therefore, it's not even failing or succeeding. It's just not even getting executed or whatever by a validator. It's just getting dropped. So that's also a thing, but that's happening basically in these isolated markets, right? So if you're competing for the same state on chain, you want to add a priority fee. And this is another issue, that apps or wallets or UIs aren't adding a priority fee or aren't adding the ability for users to add a priority fee, right? So both of these things mean that if you're trying to do the same transaction or like swap tokens within like Phantom, for example, and Phantom isn't adding a priority fee and there's no way for you to do it in the Phantom UI, you're already at a huge disadvantage from everybody else that adds any sort of priority fee. They're going to get bumped ahead of you. And that's why a lot of these transactions were getting dropped or not going through, because people couldn't add a priority fee and Phantom wasn't doing it. I believe this has been resolved. And I know Backpack, I think, allowed people to set that. I don't know what the other wallets allow or don't allow. I haven't looked too far into it, but this is more of a app level, UI level, like developer team problem. Again, not a Solana problem in this case. So there's definitely a lot of layers to sort of what's been going on recently, but it's bringing a lot of things to light, and it's allowing apps, Solana with V1.18, and just other people to realize like what can be done better, how can we improve the user experience, what can we fix with the network, but also what can we fix with like user knowledge, right? How can we allow users and developers and teams to build better products and use products in a way where they have a better user experience? So hopefully this was helpful. If it was, please share it, give it a like. But I think that's going to be it for this episode. So trying to keep it, again, high level, ELI 5, not getting too far into the weeds. Don't try to draw too much from this analogy other than I can pay a fee to skip the beer line, right? That's the benefit there. So I think that's going to be it. But thanks for watching, guys. Until next time.